Do you remember these moments when you had a hard time explaining your vision of a design solution? This gut feeling that made you group those buttons together, how it made more sense and looked natural, but you couldn't find any solid arguments to prove your point? Well, situations like these can get really frustrating for us designers, but what if I told you that these gut feelings have been studied and documented? That they can be explained through human psychology? Well, most of them, at least. Today in this video, we'll discuss what laws of UX are, take a few of them and study some of them under specific examples so that you can put in your arsenal and use them to design your solutions and also convey and articulate your solutions more precisely to find mutual understanding with your colleagues and clients alike. Let's take a look at a law of proximity and law of common region. Law of proximity says that objects that are near or proximate to each other tend to be grouped together, while the law of common region says that elements tend to be perceived into groups if they are sharing an area with a clearly defined boundary. What we take from these laws is that if you have elements that have a common root or are on the same level of hierarchy, their similarity can be expressed by putting them close together, that's law of proximity, and by dedicating a space for them, that's law of common region. So, for example, if we take a look at some Kanban board designs and say that you have also designed a card which can both be archived and deleted, you can put the archive and delete action together under a menu to express that these are both administrative and destructive functions. In the long run, this will serve for both findability and intuitiveness of your interface. And again, this is a pretty obvious solution for a problem like this, but with insights into the laws that make this an obvious solution, you'll be able to explain your train of thought to anybody on the team with more ease. Next up are Miller's Law and the goal gradient effect. If you've ever purchased something from an online marketplace, you should find these familiar. So Miller's Law says that the average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 2 items in their working memory. And the goal gradient effect is something very interesting. It says that the tendency to approach a goal increases with proximity to the goal. With this in mind, we can say that the more items a user puts into their cart on the aforementioned marketplace, the less the chance they will remember what's in it, but the more likely they are to go through with the purchase. You can streamline this with providing user the ability to quickly reference their cart, what most marketplaces usually do nowadays, as a painkiller for Miller's Law, and also adds an easy way for them to get from the cart popover to checkout, taking advantage of the goal gradient effect. People judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak and at its end, rather than the total sum or average of every moment of their experience. This is the peak-end rule, and it can be applied throughout any interaction long enough to have several steps. Like, for example, you watching this video. Most likely, the most interesting rule and the last rule in this selection of ours is what you'll remember and judge the video for the most. But if you go back to UX, it's usually a good idea to put emphasis on the most valuable or helpful points within the flow, as well as at the end of the flow. Imagine a property listing website that you search for a rental. The peak there arguably is when you find the house that suits you best. Therefore, the house page should be aesthetically pleasing and convey all the crucial information on the stage vividly. Then, after you book the house, the platform can present an encouraging thank you screen, congratulating you. Keep in mind that it's not only the good things that your product can be remembered by. If there is friction or anything that can irritate the user at these peak and end points, they are very likely to remember them, so make sure to mitigate most problems like this to the best of your ability. If you ever wondered why everyone likes good UI, part of this is due to aesthetic usability effect. Users often perceive aesthetically pleasing design as design that's more usable. We all, once we see an interface, judge it by its cover, and if we don't like the cover, we become more inclined to pick on certain things like improper wordings, minor navigational challenges, lags, and bugs. Good-looking UI can cover some of these by sheer aesthetic impression that users have while using your product. This one comes with a note of caution though. Aesthetic usability effect is no remedy for a bad interface, and it shouldn't be something that you rely upon all of the time. Our best practice at ORIL is to hone in logic and UX before doing any UI at all. Only then we can cover the interface with styles and effects to get the best of both worlds. Thanks for sticking with us for the short overview of the laws of UX. We hope that you found it insightful and interesting to see how psychology and pattern can shape UX, providing a framework for us to create and explain our design solutions. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the ORIL channel for more useful content. Also, if you're interested in the full list of laws of UX, be sure to visit lawsofux.com.